In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the things that have greatly improved my life, taking me from the version of myself who was disempowered and not really excited about life to the version of me that is genuinely excited about life and loves herself and has created a pretty beautiful life for herself. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and I blend science and spirituality to help you go from your current self to who you want to be. Let's go ahead and dive into what helped me improve my life. Just FYI, these are in no particular order, but number one is changing the content I consumed and purposefully consuming content that helped me change my perspectives. For me, this was mostly through podcasts and listening to podcasts where people shared their experiences and they talked about their life or they talked about certain topics, but through listening to and engaging with those podcasts and hearing other people's perspectives, it really helped me change my own perspectives. I have found through my work and through my own experiences that we can, of course, always change our own perspectives, but it's usually that much easier and goes by that much quicker when we hear it from someone else, especially someone else who we admire or know we have something to learn from. And it has been incredibly impactful for me to see things differently and think about things differently and just in general approach things differently. Obviously, podcasts are not the only way that you can do this. We can do that through any content that we consume, whether it's books, people that we follow on social media, people that we talk to in person. But in general, surrounding yourself with people, either in person or not, who help expand your mind and change your perspectives for the better can make a massive impact on your life. Number two, kind of backboning off of that first one, is consuming content from people that I admire or aspire to be like. And really in general, just being far more intentional with the content that you consume can make a massive impact on how you feel from a day-to-day basis. I mean, think about scrolling through your phone on all these random accounts that you follow and maybe consciously or subconsciously compare yourself to versus purposefully consuming content on your phone in a way to learn and expand your perspectives. But when you're consuming content that you admire or aspire to be like, hopefully in a way that, you're not sitting there just comparing yourself. So I think still being intentional with who makes you not feel great about yourself versus who does. But when you do that, you start to pick up on their perspectives and the way they do things and the way they see things. And in the science world, they call that form of modeling. And that is a legitimate way that we can start picking up on new habits and behaviors for ourselves. I know of one very specific example for me way back in the day when I was trying to have healthier habits with fitness and eating healthier. I initially followed a lot of Fitspo, like inspirational body people, and to be quite honest, it just never made me feel that great about myself. But then I shifted to people who were less about what the body looked like and more about empowerment and education. And I followed a lot of accounts along with that just posted a lot of healthy meals. So when I would get on Instagram, my brain was flooded with all these pictures and videos of delicious looking healthy meals, and suddenly that's what I started craving. And for me now, it looks a whole lot more like following people that really help me with my own personal and spiritual development. Number three is putting more effort into the relationships in my life. And when I say relationships, I'm talking about friends too here. And I will say for myself, I've always been someone who relationships have meant so much to, so it's not like I wasn't doing this beforehand. I think I just started being far more intentional about it, being really intentional about how I interacted with my friends and making sure I'm putting in the same amount of effort, and I'm also making sure to reach out and initiate hanging out or catching up and doing what I can to go the extra mile for my friends sometimes and support them and make their days a little bit brighter. I don't exactly remember where, but maybe in a book that I read, someone said that they would write thank you notes to their friends or just people that meant a lot to them in their lives. And I started doing that, and it really was so fulfilling, not only to write them, writing them alone, I feel like gave me so much joy, but then to see how it made my friends feel and the people in my life who I wanted to show appreciation toward. It really is such a beautiful thing to go that extra mile to show the people in your life that they mean something to you and you appreciate them. And that has absolutely improved my life. Number 4, changing what and how I ate has made a massive difference in my life. I have struggled with health and gut issues for, as long as I can remember. And I remember in high school, I would be doubled over in pain sometimes in my abdomen just from like stomach cramps. I had headaches all the time. I probably had so much brain fog. I was always fatigued. And I remember a specific point in high school, I think I had watched like some healthy eating documentary, and it really inspired me to eat a little bit healthier. And I think I ate fewer processed foods for a period of time. And I realized that I had been living with chronic headaches. I was like, oh, this feels nice. This feels really amazing. And eventually went back to eating more processed foods, more sugar, because I wanted to hang out with my friends and do what they were doing. And I love food. I'm such a foodie. So letting go of a lot of more unhealthy, indulgent foods was a hard one for me. Had a lot of attachment. But over time, I started to eat healthier. And it's made such a massive impact on my life. And I totally get being ultra attached to food. That's a whole topic we could dive into. But for me specifically, and the symptoms that I was experiencing, truly changing how I ate changed my life so much because I have way more energy. I don't deal with the same fatigue. I don't get bloated. I don't really have gas like I used to. I'm not doubled over in pain in my abdomen. That makes a huge impact on your life. You show up so much differently when you feel good. Random tidbit, I am still learning how to do this whole record videos, especially high quality videos thing. That will be for future Brianna, but I noticed that the lighting is changing a lot. Here we are. We're just going to roll with it. Number 5 is learning more about how the brain works and learning how to manage my own mind. This has made a truly massive impact on my life. And I guess all of these have, which is why we're here talking about them in a video. But this is one of my favorite things because when you can learn how to manage what's going on up in your brain and change your perspectives, your life will change. And I do not want to sound cliche. I know that sounds cliche. But truly, your perspectives shape your reality. So if your perspectives change and if you better manage what's going on up here, your reality just changes. I have a very specific memory back in 2019 where I was listening to a podcast. It had nothing to do with managing your mind or anything like that. I think it was a functional health podcast because I was trying to figure out how to bring my body back into better health. And the podcast host simply said, remember that your thoughts are not truth. They are not fact. That sentence alone made a huge difference for me. And then along the way, in the months to come, I started learning way more about how the brain works and more about thoughts and thought work and viewing your thoughts as just a story that your brain is telling you and seeing, your brain and your thoughts more as a third party rather than taking everything on as you, as your own identity. And so much can start to shift when you change your relationship with your thoughts. From that, I definitely started being far more positive. I started to live so much more intentionally rather than just the automatic thoughts going on in my head. I started to actively and consciously choose what I believed. And it came to help me have such a better outlook on myself and life as a whole. Your thoughts and perspectives have such a huge impact on what you do, how you feel, and how you show up in the world. Number 6 is working on my relationship with myself. Are we surprised that had a huge impact on my life? Think about it. Think about spending your life every single day with someone you love and enjoy spending time with compared to someone maybe not as much. And when you improve your relationship with yourself, so much about what you do, how you approach what you do, how you carry yourself through the world changes because you're doing it from a place of self-love and self-respect. You treat things, including yourself, differently when it's coming from a place of love and respect. And this was not something that just kind of happened along the way. This was something that I did very intentionally and actively worked on, and I could make a whole video on it. And through my experience, I can also say that even if you feel like you love and respect yourself, there are deeper layers. There are always deeper layers. It's always something that you can continue to cultivate. Just like a relationship, right? When you start dating someone, it's maybe there more naturally, but over time, you have to continue to put in effort to show up for that person. So it's not something that you work on or do once and then it just all works out from there. Number 7 is creating reminders for myself to help me show up as the person that I want to be. That may sound a little funny, but here's the thing. Our brains are always going to want to naturally revert back to what it's most comfortable with and what it's most used to. And so we can consume personal development and positive content all day, and we may never see a shift because we have to be very intentional about showing up differently and feeling differently and doing things differently. We have to purposefully pave ourselves a way out of our norm. And so as I started getting into thought work and personal development work, I remember creating this vision based on probably a podcast saying to create this vision of who you want to be. What is the version of yourself that you want to be? And I wrote that out and I had that vision, but it's really easy for that to not stay top of mind if we're not intentional about it, especially if we maybe have ADHD or just with today's world, we're surrounded by distractions. So we have to find ways to keep that top of mind. So for me, I put it in my morning routine and had it in a few other routines, but more specifically the morning routine where I would have a few reminders, right, of this vision of who I wanted to be and maybe a couple affirmations, and that really helped keep it top of mind and helped me actually show up and become that version of myself. Number 8 is paying more attention to the things that I genuinely find fun and exciting. It's kind of funny when you think about it and you start building more awareness and paying attention to it, and you start to realize a lot of the things that you thought you found really fun, you actually don't. It's just what maybe society deems as fun or maybe what your friends deem as fun. So I started just having more self-awareness around when I genuinely felt excited, when I was truly having fun. And then on top of that, made a point to add those things into my days and weeks and months. And guess what? Life is definitely more fun when you spend more time doing things that you find fun. Number 9 is actively reframing things. Our perspectives are always going to shape how we feel about things, how we respond to things, what we do, how we carry ourselves, everything about who we are and our experience. So with having far more awareness of what's going on in my mind and how that impacts who I am, what I do, how I feel, when whatever my perspective isn't real conducive to how I want to feel or who I want to be, I will actively reframe things. And over time, that starts to become your more normal perspective. And so when we're more open-minded and we're actively reframing things, we can really shift how we feel and how we show up on a day-to-day basis. Last one, number 10, is spirituality. I am not here to make anything political or try to push my beliefs onto anyone else. I am simply sharing what has made a really big impact for me, and becoming more spiritual has improved my life in so many ways. My outlook on life is completely different, and it has really helped me be far more happier. I used to be someone who struggled a lot with depression and feeling very apathetic about life and just not really excited about life. And for me, becoming more spiritual has really helped change so much of that. I view life so much differently. It helps me cope with so many different things. It helps me see myself with a different perspective. I definitely feel more fulfilled and feel like I have so much more of a feeling of purpose. And on top of all of that, I've also met so many amazing people and have so many friends in my life now that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And to be honest, just as a whole, being spiritual makes life so much more fun. And I mean, you can't argue that having more fun does not make life more enjoyable, and that alone has such an impact on your life. So when I sit down and think, what has truly helped me change my life and has made such a positive impact on my life, these were the things that came to mind. But I would love to know, what has helped your life? I'm sure I miss all kinds of things here, so what would you add? Thank you so much for being here. As you know, it helps creators so much when you hit the like button and subscribe. So big love to you if you do that. I hope you have an amazing day.